What's happening, everybody? Matt here, but you can call me Matub, and welcome to Hottest Take of the Week, show where I look at dumb stuff on the internet and we talk about it. Last week, you know what? So, last week I made a War of 1812 joke with a General Aaron Charles Rodgers, and the last time I made that joke was when the Packers went into Atlanta in the playoffs, and they got destroyed in both games. So I think I'm done making historical jokes. Also, last week, Clay Matthews got another unnecessary roughing. Well, I should say he got an unnecessary roughing the passer penalty, because it turns out when a quarterback is still holding the ball, he's actually getting the passer protection unless it's Aaron Rodgers. If you want to call it the Aaron Rodgers rule, maybe you should throw a flag when it happens to Aaron Rodgers. The NFL Competition Committee got together via a conference call and watched some video on the flags thrown with the roughing the passer this week. Statement from NFL Executive Vice President of Football Operations, Troy Vincent. The NFL Competition Committee met last night by conference call to discuss the enforcement of roughing the passer rules with a specific emphasis on the use of body weight by a defender. The committee reviewed video of roughing the passer fouls from both this season to date and 2017. In reiterating its position on quarterback protection, the committee determined there would be no changes to the point of emphasis approving this spring or to the rule of which the body weight provision was placed in 1995. Okay, so the competition committee got together in a conference call and watched some video, which I would call that a video conference if you're all watching video together. But so the competition committee got together, including Packers Mark Murphy, and they apparently ruled that the rule. They apparently ruled that the flags will continue. Everyone wants to talk about this Aaron Donald hit from last night, when, honestly, yes, it is clean based on the body weight rule, but, man, he slammed the crap out of Kirk Cousins. Holy wow. If this is the new norm, then we're going to have to go back to what Ndamukong Suh said when he was a Dolphin.
Was out of the tackle box.
So, a lot of takes about Clay Matthews' hit, but I'm really, really, really sick of talking about that rule. So we're going to move on. This week there weren't really a lot of takes coming from the national media. People weren't saying stupid things on the internet, and it's not like me to just go after every Tom, Dick, and Harry. So I'm going to go after every Tom, Dick, and Harry this week, because we have to look at common takes that have happened throughout the year that seem to have resurfaced. And the first thing is the Cut Cobb crowd. The Cut Cobb, say that 5 times fast. The Cut Cobb crowd is back, and they absolutely are out for blood against Randall Cobb for having just an awful, awful game against Washington. He had drops, but you know what's funny is if you watch the All-22, he actually consistently got open, but Aaron Rodgers was looking incredibly mortal that game. There were times when he had bad throws. For example, the Devontae Adams drop was way, way behind him. And if that was a better throw, then Adams is catching it in front of him, and he's probably still running to this day. But, man, like that Cobb 4th down drop, and Cobb didn't have a good day. But that shouldn't erase the 2 great games that he's had so far. It's not really fair to say that he is cut-worthy because of 1 bad game. If everyone got cut after 1 bad game, there would be no one left on the roster. Another take that's going around this week is about Kevin King. As I said before, Kevin King and TJ Watt will forever be linked because TJ Watt was a Badger, and the Packers passed up on drafting him when they traded for what is essentially Kevin King and Vince Beagle. Vince Beagle was active for the Saints this week. Kevin King was not active for the Packers due to a lingering groin injury. But while TJ Watt was active, he was largely ineffective. So once again, let's look at how TJ Watt played this week. He had a couple tackles and 0 sacks. TJ Watt has 3 sacks this season, all of which coming against a Browns team that just won their first game for the first time in 2 years. Wow. It's unfair to say that one player is a better draftee than the other this soon. Give it some time. With the Packers signing of Bashaud Breeland, having Kevin King, Jair Alexander, Josh Jackson, and Tramon Williams means that the secondary could potentially be a strength moving forward this season. And Kevin King, assuming he can get healthy, is going to be a big part of that. When Kevin King originally went out with his groin injury and Devon House came in, the Packers got automatically worse. They gave up something like 21 points without Kevin King, and they gave up like 10 points with him. I'm not exactly sure on those numbers, but it's similar there. Like, they gave up 3 times more points when Kevin King was off the field. And finally, oh, Lordy Jordy. Jordy Nelson. Let's talk about Jordy Nelson. Jordy Nelson is currently playing for the Oakland, soon-to-be Vegas Raiders, with who James Jones called Baby A-Rod at quarterback, Derek Carr. Throughout the first 2 weeks of the season, Jordy Nelson had 53 yards and 0 touchdowns. Last week, Jordy Nelson had, in the first quarter, it was, holy crap, in the first quarter, he had 139 yards and 1 touchdown. So, Jordy's back, obviously. Oh my God, how could the Packers cut Jordy Nelson, let him walk, and keep Randall Cobb for his... Look at the Week 3 stats. Randall Cobb was garbage in Week 3, and Jordy Nelson was transcendent. Well, guess what? The Raiders still lost. Packers lost, Raiders lost. So maybe doing a swap for Randall Cobb and Jordy Nelson doesn't matter. Let's also forget to mention the fact that this is Jordy's first touchdown in 12 games. 12 games. So, in the same way that you can't say that someone is worth cutting after 1 bad game, you can't say that someone is still a viable number 1 after 1 good game. When someone scores their first touchdown in 12 games, the general trend would consider that that is an outlier and not necessarily the new norm. There's such a thing as regression to the mean. Jordy Nelson having 1 great quarter versus 12 bad games does not necessarily mean that he's great now. It just means that he's eventually going to put up stats. Also, holy crap, the Dolphins weren't even like covering him. And as soon as they realized that Jordy wasn't completely washed and could still catch balls, they kind of shut him down. Jordy Nelson finished the game with 6 receptions for 173 yards with 1 touchdown and 1 fumble. So yeah, he's not infallible. He's not completely useless, but to think that Jordy Nelson would be this unbelievable talent for the Packers just because of this 1 good game does not make sense. Alright guys, another short video this week. My daughter's currently taking a nap and she's waking up, so I have to go get her. This week the Packers take on the Bills at home. The Packers are the 10.5 point favorite. Wow, that's a big line. Packers are 0-3 against the spread. I still haven't had to dance. Maybe I should stop promising that. If the Packers beat the Bills by 11 points, tell you what, not only will I dance on this show, I will donate my lunch money for the week to the MAC Fund. I just don't see the Packers covering. I think it's a win for them, but I just don't see them scoring 11 more points than the Bills. Holy crap. All right, but as always, I'm Matt. But you can call me Matub. Go, Pack, go!